Hello, I'm Ariel with Lowell Observatory, and here's what's in the sky this July. Jupiter and Saturn will rise earlier and earlier, and by the end of the month, they'll rise in the fairly early evening. Jupiter will be in the constellation Aquarius, and Saturn will be in Capricorn. Mars is effectively gone from the night sky. It will set not long after the Sun, being barely visible during twilight. Venus will be moving from the constellation Cancer to Leo. It will mostly be visible during twilight just after sunset, low to the west. Mercury will be on the morning side of the sky and will achieve its maximum distance in the sky from the Sun this month on July 4th. Look for it very low in the eastern sky just before sunrise. This month's new moon will be on July 10th and the full moon will be on July 24th. Late July will see several overlapping meteor showers. The most prominent of these will be the Delta Aquarids, which will begin in mid-July and peak early in the morning of July 30th or late in the night of July 29th. Normally, it's better to observe meteor showers very late at night, but the Delta Aquarids might be better observed in the earlier evening to avoid the bright moon. At their peak, the Delta Aquarids might produce as many as 20 shooting stars per hour. These can appear anywhere in the sky, but will appear to radiate from the constellation Aquarius to the south. Two weaker meteor showers will peak around the same time. The Alpha Capricornids will also peak the early morning of July 30th, and the Pisces Austranids will peak July 28th. One of the strongest meteor showers, the Perseids, will peak in August, but its meteors can be seen through late July as well. The constellations of the spring sky are still visible through most of the night, but will be increasingly in the setting side of the sky. By the end of the month, Leo the Lion, containing the bright star Regulus, and Virgo the Maiden, containing the bright star Spica, will both set not too long after sunset. Ursa Major, the Great Bear, which contains the Big Dipper, will cover much of the northern sky. You can follow the arc of the Big Dipper's handle to Arcturus and Boötes, and you can continue along that line to spike over to Spica. Following Boötes later in the night will be the constellations of Corona Borealis, the Northern Crown, and Hercules, the Hero. A bit later in the evening, we'll begin to see the famous constellations of the summer sky. These include the constellations Lyra, the Harp, Cygnus, the Swan, and Aquila, the Eagle. Each of these constellations contains one star of the summer triangle, a triad of exceptionally bright stars. The brightest of these is Vega in Lyra. The other two summer triangle stars are Deneb in the constellation Cygnus and Altair in the constellation Aquila. At around the same time these rise, we can also see another famous summer constellation far to the south, Scorpius, the Scorpion. This constellation contains the star Antares, another of the sky's brightest stars. Just to the east of Scorpius is Sagittarius, the Archer, who is chasing and hunting the Scorpion. In the direction of Sagittarius is the core of the Milky Way, our home galaxy. This is where the Milky Way will be at its brightest in the sky. Much of the galactic core can be seen in Scorpius as well. The disk of the galaxy cuts right through the summer triangle to where the constellation of Cygnus the Swan can be imagined to be swimming along it. By the end of the month, many of the autumnal constellations can be seen rising in the earlier evening as well. The most famous of these is Cassiopeia, which looks like a large W shape rising to the northeast. It's placed almost exactly on the opposite side of the North Star from the Big Dipper's handle. Cassiopeia gives us another way of finding the North Star, as its W shape opens up almost directly towards Polaris. The summer sky is rich with objects for both binoculars and telescopes, especially around the Milky Way's core in Sagittarius. The brightest stars of Sagittarius are often thought of as making a teapot shape. Just above the lid of the teapot is the small Sagittarius star cloud, and above the spout of the teapot is the large Sagittarius star cloud. Star clouds are areas where there is somewhat less interstellar gas and dust to block starlight, meaning we can see much farther and many more stars. To the naked eye, these appear as brighter than normal parts of the Milky Way, and through binoculars they appear incredibly rich with stars. Above the small Sagittarius star cloud is the Swan Nebula or Omega Nebula, and above the large Sagittarius star cloud is the Lagoon Nebula, some of the brightest star-forming regions in the sky. If you have a telescope, keep an eye out for the phenomenal globular star clusters that'll be up in the sky this month. The most famous globular may be M13, or the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules. It can be seen in the leading edge of Hercules' torso, also known as the keystone. M13 has about 250,000 stars and is about 22,000 light-years away. Globulars are visible through binoculars, but individual stars are more easily seen with a telescope. Right next to Antares is another globular star cluster, M4, which is the closest globular cluster to us, and just east of the top star of the teapot's lid in Sagittarius is another incredibly bright glob called M22. A modest telescope will allow you to see the Ring Nebula, which is one of the most famous planetary nebulae and one of the easiest to find. It can be found about halfway in between the two stars of Lyra opposite Vega. Near the center of the summer triangle and forming the head of Cygnus the Swan is Alberio, which may be the loveliest binary in the sky. This month's Deep Sky Challenge is the Dumbbell Nebula. This is one of the brightest planetary nebulae, and it was the first to have been discovered. This is the remnant of a roughly sun-massed star after it ran out of fuel. The Dumbbell Nebula is in the constellation of Vulpecca, the Little Fox, but can be found more easily from the more prominent constellation of Cygnus the Swan. If you imagine a rectangle with the stars Satyr, Aljana, and Alberio as corners, the Dumbbell Nebula will be very close to where the fourth corner would be. It may just be visible through a spotting scope on a clear, dark night. Good luck. That's all for July's Mars Hill Almanac, and until next time, happy stargazing.